everyone. My name is Tory. I'm going to be giving a speech on lighthouses. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have ever been to a lighthouse before? It's a pretty good number. I have too. How many of you knew that the lighthouse actually originated back in ancient times? All right, that's still a good number. Back actually in ancient Egypt, they used what they called light towers, which actually used a live flame to guard the coasts and to help the ships know when a coast was actually approaching. They were actually kept by the priests there, which is kind of ironic because we're at a Christian school, so I thought that was an interesting fact. The earliest lighthouse was actually dated back in 600 BC, which is a really long time ago. I thought that was interesting too. By the 18th century, though, on the European coast, tons of lighthouses were being built. By the end of the 18th century, they were actually making their way to the Americas, which brings me to the main point, which is Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, located in the Outer Banks on the coast of North Carolina. The three main points of the history when you look at Cape Hatteras Lighthouse will include the structure, the original structure, the existing structure, and the move of the existing structure to the current location. Which brings me to our visual aid for today. This is actually just a clock, and no, it's not right because it's out of a battery. But this is actually what Cape Hatteras looks like, in case you guys didn't know. It's just a clock. I'm really fascinated with lighthouses, so I thought that would be a really good aid. To bring me to my first point, we're going to talk about the original structure of Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. It was actually erected due to the dangerous potential on the coast of North Carolina. There weren't really any lighthouses there at the time, so they needed something to guard the coast and help the ships. In 1794, Congress actually authorized the lighthouse to be built. When they built it, it was actually only 90 feet tall, which is really, really short when you look at a lighthouse. The light was very dim and couldn't be seen from very far off the coast. And at days at a time, the light would go out and the coast would be completely dark, leaving the sailors with no light and no sense of direction at all. To date, 500 ships have actually sunk in that area, giving that area the nickname of the Graveyard of the Atlantic. Pretty bad. In 1852, the Lighthouse Board was created, which increased the height of the lighthouse to 150 feet. It changed the lens to a Fresnel lens, which is just using a magnifying glass to enhance the light could be seen from farther distances. These changes made the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse one of the most dependable on the East Coast, which is a very good thing. During the Civil War, though, it was very badly damaged and instead of being repaired, it was just too expensive. They actually tore it down, destroyed it, and rebuilt an entirely new one. Which brings me to our second point, which is the current structure of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. It was actually built in 1869 into 1870. They're not quite sure of the exact year. It cost $150,000 to build this compared to $44,000 for the first one. A little bit difference in the timing, but anyway, it actually was moved back or north 600 feet from the original site because of erosion, which we'll get to that point in a little bit also. The current height of this lighthouse is 208 feet. It has 268 steps all the way to the top. It's pretty tall. And I cited that from www.hatteras-nc.com, saying that it is now the tallest in the nation. Numerous changes were made to the lighting devices. The current device was put in 1972. It eliminated the need for any keepers, so it was all automated and made it a lot easier. The range now is 28 miles at every 7.5 seconds, and it has been seen from 51 miles off the coast, which is an extremely large amount of distance, and I cited that from the Outer Banks Chamber of Commerce. The painting design, as you can see, is a spiral. The interesting thing about that is it was actually switched. The painter who was hired to paint this lighthouse and also Cape Lookout switched the plans. It was originally supposed to have a diamond type of design, and so Cape Lookout now has the diamond, and Cape Hatteras has the spiral, which gave it its second nickname, the Big Barber Pole, which is pretty common, or probably a lot of people that know Hatteras know that. The third point, my final point, is the move of the structure, the current structure, to its current location. It's actually moved a half a mile inland because of erosion. They built actually a steel road, in a sense, to pick up or put the entire lighthouse upright on a platform, pretty much, a wooden platform with pulleys and jacks, and transport it all the way up the steel road. It was not taken apart at all. It was taken in the entire form, as you see there, moved completely a half mile inland, which is a pretty big deal. It took a lot of manpower, and it also cost $12 million to move. All right, as you guys can see, Cape Hatteras is full of a lot of fascinating history. It has three main points in its history: the original structure, the current structure, and the move of the current structure to the current location. Lighthouses are they have so much to offer: beautiful views, beautiful history, and hope that from this presentation you guys learned a little bit about the history and the origin of a lighthouse in general. All right?